Are you ready? Can Crushers. It don't really get no better than this the podcast that you're looking for if you're really heavy into wrestling. Hosted by the Mark. Energy that's so amazing. Gotta keep it entertaining. Rep the Can Crusher Nation. Yeah, you know what's going down in the ring. Lights out when you hit a ding ding. Knock 'em out like boom bada bing. Hold it down, you can crown me the king. Got a shout out to the Miz and Duke the Dumpster. We choke slamming everybody. Power driving, hit 'em with a face buster. Yeah, this the show you need and it ain't no need for waiting. Mark, hold it down for the Can Crusher Nation. All about wrestling and keep it entertaining. Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast. Time to break 'em, let's go. Yeah, Can Crushers. Yeah, Can Crushers. Let's go.
Hey, this is former WWE superstar Duke the Dumpster Drosy, and you are listening to the Can Crushers Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to another Can Crushers Podcast, the Spotlight Edition. I am your host, Mark the Mark Martinez, and man, oh man, am I excited for this spotlight. One, because I am helping out the organization for this tournament that's coming. My guest this week is Tyler TY Sutton, and he is from Pro Wrestling Clash. And we're going to be talking about the second annual Shawn Shultz Future Tournament. I've done some digging on the past tournament, but I'm super excited about the tournament this year. I want to know why this started. I want to know what it's for. I want to know more about TY Sutton. I want to know everything about Pro Wrestling Clash. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to dive into that with Tyler here in a few seconds. But I want to let you know, I know this. I have a couple more in my hopper that throughout the week you are going to hear from some of the competitors, I guess the word is, Mark, in the tournament. So I want to hear why they entered this tournament, what it means to them. But we have to hear what it's all about first from Tyler, and then we'll move on day by day to get some of the competitors on here as well. So pay attention this week because it is packed and loaded for you here on Can Crushers. But of course, you know what we have to do first. We have to pay the bills. Guys, don't forget about our WWE affiliate code down in the show notes. You know, if you're going for the new Jimmy Uso shirt or the Tiffy Time shirt or whatever you want, you know you're going to buy something like that, click on the link. Click on the link, and we're very transparent. Sometimes you'll get a discount using that. Sometimes you won't. But you know what it will do? It helps benefit our show, which is really cool. You can help pay some of the bills. And also, don't forget we have our merch as well. There's a link in the description code as well. If you want to buy anything Can Crushers, a t-shirt, a tank, a hoodie, a crew, whatever, check them out. Million different colors, not a million, but close enough, that you can choose from. And then help support Can Crushers there and show off one of your favorite wrestling podcasts. So, all right, we're going to send it out. You're going to hear from another amazing wrestler that's been on the show. And then we're going to kick it over to Tyler T.Y. Sutton to talk about everything Pro Wrestling Clash and the Futures Tournament here on Can Crushers.
Hey, this is Mariah May, the glamour, but you knew that. And you're listening to Can Crushers.
And welcome back to Can Crushers, folks. You heard how excited I am to be a sponsor of this event that we talked about, but more and more I'm excited to talk to Tyler T.Y. Sutton, the man, the myth, the legend. Tyler, how you doing tonight?
I'm excellent, Mark. How are we doing today?
Finer than frog hair? That just came to me right now.
Oh, that'll work.
That'll work. That'll work. So, Tyler, cool story of how we met from a wrestler that was on a spotlight probably about a year ago that lives in South Carolina, that's doing some work with you guys and this, and it's crazy, the wrestling business, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and that's what I love about the professional wrestling business. Like, you meet these fine people all around the nation, sometimes the world if you're lucky enough. Some people, their journeys are a little bit different than others. Mine, I'm fortunate to meet so many good young talent, or even talents that have been around as probably as long as I have. just from different parts of the nation. I love it, especially checking out the talent, like what they had to offer on shows and stuff like that. It's a really good experience as a promoter.
Yeah. I'll ask you this in a real answer. I love WWE, AEW, TNA, and all of those. I love indies more, though, because of you get to see what the future is, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The independent wrestling scene is like a bag of Skittles. You get different kind of flavors that you like, and independence, there's just so many variable choices that you can take in, whatever type of wrestling that you like. If you like the catch wrestling, if you like uh, high flying, technical wrestling, even like the hardcore deathmatch wrestling. Some people like it, some people both. Hey, that's independent wrestling. It's the beauty of it. You get different choices, and it is out there.
Yeah, and it's usually all on one card in the independent circuit, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And it's another thing too. Like, say, I live down here in the South, and the South has that typical cheer for your good guy, boo your bad guy, and like, it's very NWA ish, like mid '80s, even late '80s, early '90s, stuff like that. It still goes to this day. And then you have other areas out there in America that you just appreciate the wrestling, and then there's some that just love the gimmick. I like a good bit of it. I like a mix of everything. I'm not really picky myself. I just love a good product.
We're in the same boat then, Tyler. We really are. We're in the same boat. I can really cheer for a bad heel, or I can be the babyface's number one fan, or I love blood and guts every once in a while. So, yeah, it's all there. You brought up NWA. Before we get to know a little bit more about you, you brought up NWA. Is that what you were raised on, 605 Saturday night?
Oh yeah, 605 Saturday night on TBS. That was my introduction to professional wrestling. I couldn't tell you WCW NWA's first match that I watched because I want to say I was like 3 or 4 years old. There was just a little mix of everything. The very first match that I absolutely remember was from a WWF Superstars card, and there was two matches in particular that I remembered on that. The curtain jerk from that match was Ted DiBiase and a jobber named Jim Powers.
Jobber Jim Powers. I love Jim Powers. I did.
Yeah, he was super talented for his time. And then the main event of that show, and I've actually found my wrestling hero even up to this day, Bret Hart defending his Intercontinental Championship against Haku.
Oh my God, that had been a wonderful match. Haku Ming, however you know him. Yeah.
But yeah, that was my introduction to Bret Hart. There was something about the pink and black. It was unique to me. Like it stood out because I was like, oh, pink is for girls. But then like the color scheme and stuff, it kind of goes away when Bret just comes off as like a super good baby face and very believable with his storytelling. And a lot of once I started getting into wrestling a little bit more, and then I started getting more serious about I want to be a professional wrestler, I really wanted to emulate Bret Hart as much as I possibly could. Then I kind of understood like where he came from for the Stu Hart Dungeon and who his dad was, and the guys that he had trained all throughout the years. Like, let's get some examples out there, like Brian Pillman, Chris Jericho. I mean, I could go on and on
Dynamite
and on.
Kid, yeah.
Yeah, Dynamite Kid. Like, and then you see those guys, they kind of came from the same area. It's like, oh man, this is like a lot of good studying. Yeah. And that was like a big part of my professional wrestling persona at the time.
Is that if you could have picked, money and, geographical stuff aside to train for professional wrestling, would you have loved to go to the dungeon?
Yes and no, because for one,
the stories.
yeah, Bruce like shooting on people, and it's kind of one of those things. It's like it tests your will. Mm-hmm. When I started training in 2004, like the day I turned 18 was the day that I started training to become a professional wrestler. And those first 2 weeks, like I'd never stepped foot in the ring. It was always cardio. And then the third week I took my first bump in the ring. It was like, ouch. But I mean, there's something like being in that atmosphere. It's not just the ring itself, but going to a venue, seeing a ring in front of you, seeing chairs all around. And it's just like, wow, it could be a venue that could only fit 50 people. Now that's ringside, not just like, that's not including your locker room.
Right.
But there's just something about it. And maybe it was probably because I was in high school at the time as well. And I was a young guy. It just mesmerized me. And being in that kind of outweighed the pain that I was going through. Like there was never a day in my training in the 8 months that I trained that I wanted to quit. Like I wanted to keep going and going and going and going and going. And from there, it's just like I never wanted to step out.
Right.
And that's kind of where I'm at now. Even though I haven't been in a ring in almost a year. Well, let me rephrase that. I haven't performed in front of people in a year. It's still becoming a promoter and seeing these people that I'm using, whether they're young or been in the business as long as I have. That is way more fulfilling than what the stuff that I ever did in my career.
Do you, as a promoter now, do you still get like the jitters? Because you said you started kind of when you're 18, right out of school, yada, yada, yada. I only started ring announcing in my 30s, and I'm an anxious guy in the first place, but I always get those butterflies until you hit that magical curtain. Is it different as a promoter? Does it like, oh man, I've never promoted, so how's that go?
Okay, so promoter, there's way more jitters, and those jitters last way longer because one, say I announce a date 2 months out. Those butterflies really stick with you from the day that you announce the show until the day of show. And it's like, I just want this to get over with. There's challenges to being a promoter, don't get me wrong. At the end of the day, it's fulfilling. For me, cool, I put on a show, but the people that's doing the show that are working for me, I watch out for them. Like, I wouldn't say that they were my children, but it's like one of those things is like, I kind of get that same mentality. Like I want to see the people that are under my banner do good things for themselves. And that's what I get way more excited about, seeing other people be successful. And I'd like to be a part of that.
Yeah, I can hear the fatherly talk in your voice right now saying, wrestler X for right now. Man, I hope this Futures tournament is a stepping stone to get to, we'll use the path, OVW to TNA to AEW, WWE, just taking that, those steps up to being a Hall of Famer in time. And that comes back to you, right?
Oh, yeah, I would love to. Like, I'm not one to say, oh, yeah, I did that. I'm just thankful to give them a spotlight to show their talents off.
Yeah. And that's essentially what our spotlights are. That's why we love talking to indie wrestlers all over the world, essentially, because you know the story of Randy Orton and Alexa Bliss and this, that, and the other. How about, now use the one that actually got us together, CJ Evans. Nobody knew. I'm not saying nobody knew until he was on Can Crushers, but, that's how more people found him or this, that, or the other. And now we're talking on Can Crushers, which is really cool.
Yeah, and CJ was in my tournament last year. He was actually a last-minute fill-in. I actually had one guy had to pull out like the day before the show, and I actually had to change a lot of how the tournament was supposed to be ran. And I'm very glad that I did, because CJ came in, holy smokes, like I heard a lot of good things about him, but once I saw the matches that he was booked on, he adapted to every single style that he had in front of him. CJ, so in baseball, you have a 5-tool player.
Yep.
Not a utility guy per se, but a 5-tool player. And CJ is a true definition of professional wrestling's 5-tool player. I strongly recommend using, like, if anybody wanted somebody that you needed a good baby face, good heel, high flyer technique. I mean, CJ is that guy. I can't say enough good things about the guy.
Yeah. Baseball reference, I like it. Who's your number one 5-tool player right now out there?
Oh,
I know you're a Braves fan, so come on.
Ronald Acuna is hurt right now, but if he was in the lineup, it would be Ronald Acuna.
Okay, I'll give it to you. I'll give you Acuna. I was hoping you weren't going to say anybody crazy because Acuna's not. I was a Braves fan back in my childhood. I like Dale Murphy. I would like Ozzie Virgil.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, those guys. I worked for the Detroit Tigers for a while, so I kind of shifted over there. So I'm all about Miggy and Torque and Riley Green. Those are none of them are 5-tool. Miggy was number one. You know who I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
But all the others, they might be 4.5 right now. They're getting there.
Yeah. You see, I know we're in a wrestling podcast, but I will say this before we move on. Riley Green to me is a player that you shouldn't sleep on right now.
I agree.
I think it's a phenomenal outfielder.
Yeah, I agree. See, this is where we're all over the place on Can Crushers. We really are. We'll talk about how if you're a Tennessee fan, I'll probably hang up on you right now, but that's all right. I'm a Pitt fan.
No. No, that's my wife. I am not a Tennessee fan.
Okay, deal. My dog doesn't even like Tennessee. But all right, back to professional wrestling. Some of your favorites growing up, and then we'll get into the meat and potatoes of this and everything. You said Brett, but once you started adapting, who else did you get once you got into the ring?
Oh gosh, Chris Jericho, just because his style was all over the place. Like his character kept developing, and I just love that. Of course, his work rate is just really good.
Crazy.
Oh yeah. Rob Van Dam also kind of like always got my attention. Like his physical abilities. What I mean by physical abilities is just like, you know, how he stretches out and gets ready and stuff like that. Like it's like that is the real deal. I'm one of those. It's like you do need to stretch before a show or before your workout and stuff. Like I'm hardcore about that too.
Nice.
Edge was another good one. And Christian as well. Christian was, to me, like one of the best pure wrestlers available. I think he was severely underrated. It could have been used a little better, but you know, companies use their talents differently. And I'm not one that's in the office with Bruce Pritchard or Vince McMahon or those guys. I don't know their mindset, but they got a certain way of working. I got a certain way of working. Like promoters, they see talent in a different way. They have a certain, what am I trying to think of here? Like a certain way they want to run their show, how they want it to be presented, and you find those guys that can get you there.
Yeah, you as Ricky Morton would say, you need to find the guy to put asses in seats, and then the rest is fillers that can become the next guy that can put asses in seats. And that's no disrespect to anybody on a card. It's just you have to have that name to get the people there first, and then they find. And again, we'll use CJ because I know he won't, punch me in the face yet, but you get a CJ there, and they're like, oh man, this guy is the next guy I need to watch. Forget about Bob Smith or whoever.
Yeah, and that's why, I'm so grateful that I have CJ for this special attraction match, like a non-tournament match, wrestling Jake Murphy, which is another vet, and Jake is my best friend. We've tagged with each other in different states, won tag team championships in different states, and we've had pretty good matches together in the past as well. We've had more tag matches as a team than we had singles against each other, but we know each other very well. We both understand how business works, what works for what town, what show, and Jake, to his credit, if he was a promoter, if he had the patience, because not a lot of people do have patience for it.
I'm reaching out to him now, right? Yeah.
He knows that I would say this. He knows I'm not busting his balls too much about it, but he gets where certain people need to be at, and at the same time, like the shows that I do, the majority of the guys or girls, they know where their spot is. They never complain, which is it's massive to me. They're just like, hey, I'm just grateful to be on the show. Those are the people that I look out for those people, of course, in being talented and not being, not slacking on their craft.
Yeah, I get it. One more question before we get to the tournament and what it means and the pro wrestling clash as well. I want you to put yourself in your dream match. You said you've been out for about a year, haven't performed in about a year, but what would be your dream match? Who do you want to face in the ring, where, and what stipulation?
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
If I was in better shape and if my shoulders weren't as bad as they were, myself and Zack Sabre Jr.
Nice.
Where, it doesn't matter.
I would have to say anytime with Zach, you have to be in Tokyo. It has to be Tokyo.
Yeah, Tokyo. I mean, God, wrestling in Japan, that would be another amazing experience too, especially in the Egg Dome. Holy smokes!
Right?
Yeah.
What stipulation? Because one's in my head already.
I mean, it could be just a regular match as long as to me, with me and him, two things would be most important to me: the storytelling of the match and the technicality, and just the straight up mat work to it.
That's why.
As long as fans have been captivated into the craft that we put in, even the storytelling going through it, as long as it's captivating to the fans, that's what matters to me the most.
That's why I'm putting you in an Iron Man match. 30, 60-minute Iron Man match, because you could have so many falls that tell so many different stories, so many different, you want to be technical for the first 15 minutes for the first fall, you want to beat the hell out of each other for the next fall, da-da-da-da-da. People don't understand, that's probably one of my favorite matches because you get so much in there that tells one story but 16 different stories, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I could probably throw you one right now. Say if he and I get into it 5 minutes in, he puts me in an inverted hold to where the joint in my shoulder or elbow or wrist or whatever contorts me so bad, I actually have a legit injury. Kills a little bit of time there, still get the fight back, but the story being told, I can't really put him in any kind of holds. I can't really put him in any kind of tosses or anything like that because I've got a dangling arm.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could move up closer to time limit. I could probably get a sneak pinfall in.
Yep.
You could go different ways from there, maybe
so
2 to 3 minutes left.
Yeah, many different directions.
2 to 3 minutes left.
Yeah.
He could put me in a choke. He could put me in a triangle, and then invert it to keep that triangle on me and put me in an armbar. Or to the arm, wrench the arm, and do whatever he does. He does so many submissions, man, it kills me. And then I could tap with 3 seconds left, and he sneaks one in just at the nick of time.
See, you already have a build. All we need to do is get you guys over to Tokyo, and then boom, we're there.
There we are.
I get 10% because I made the match. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll PayPal you.
Yeah, okay. Let's talk about Pro Wrestling Clash and what that means to you, and then you can just slide it right into the tournament because that's the meat and potatoes and what everybody needs to know, here in about a week and a half.
Yeah, so Pro Wrestling Clash started in 2019. Our first show was the Clash at Carpet City. Carpet City is also another name for Dalton, Georgia, where I live at. We started in a very steamy gym. It's a recreation gym with the ambience. The ambiance is incredibly echoey, but at the same time, it was a super cool experience. Basically, what I wanted to do for that show was to help raise money for a nonprofit organization called the Carter Hope Center. It actually helps out people, inpatient and outpatient, that are dealing with some addiction. And that hit home to me, and that idea was sent to me. And I was like, yeah, I'll definitely run a show. That was actually supposed to be a one-off. It was such a huge success that we ended up doing it the next year. This time it was at the North Georgia Fairgrounds. Way more room, way more people, and a much bigger payroll. That I'm not even going to throw numbers out there because I legit thought that we were not going to make any money on that, and I was shocked that we raised $15,000 for
That's unbelievable.
the Carter Hub Center that day. It's like, holy smoke! So we knew we had something special there, and then we skipped the next year, which was 2021.
Because of reasons. We won't even bring that up. Yeah, but okay.
Yeah. I think it was more of a timing thing than anything. But then we had the next year we had Clash at Carpet City 3. Now keep in mind, you're noticing like why is this run weekly, monthly, bi-monthly, or whatever. That was just where we were at the time. Now, the third show that happened not long after that was the Shawn Shultz Invitational, the very first one last year. It went to Chatsworth, Georgia, because Dawn was at a stage where rent and stuff was like getting super duper high, and we were like, let's see if we can reach out to some venues, to some people that would be willing to let me put this on. And I would like to give a lot of people, a lot of promoters, a lot of credit for helping me out with this show, like at RCW or Renegade Championship Wrestling. Promoter Tyler Casway helped me out super well from last year's event. This year's event will be at TWE in Chattanooga. In my opinion, one of the very best independent wrestling shows in the South. They run an annual show. It's a 2-night event called the Scenic City Invitational.
Okay.
And guys like Nathan Frazier, he was Benjamin Carter at the time. He was in the tournament. He was also in their Futures tournament. And I actually refereed one of his matches too.
Nice.
Show as well. Too Cold Scorpio. I could go on and on and on and on. Like, there has been so many good independent and wrestlers from the past that's been in that tournament, and TWE just continues to grow and do so well for themselves. And they've been real generous to me and Pro Wrestling Clash to help us keep moving. And I'm like very grateful for Jaden Newman and the people at TWE just from welcoming me with open arms, and my talent as well. So that's where I'm at with Pro Wrestling Clash now. Are there plans for like a monthly show, bi-monthly? That's the plan. But as of now, we just want to keep the momentum that we're going right now. And once financially we get going, we'll be off and running.
Right. Baby steps. Rome wasn't built in a day, right? You have to do what you have to do and not foreclose your house or anything. So I completely understand.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So talk about the tournament and what that means and why it got started and why Shawn and the futures and all of that.
Okay, I'll start with Shawn. Kind of a little bit of a brief history of how Shawn and I met. We met accidentally in 2016. He and I were on the same show. We were doing a cruiserweight not a gauntlet. Yeah, it was a gauntlet match. And the guy that I'd wrestled, like the very last second, said, "I don't want to do this anymore." I was like, "Oh," and I was super green. Like, I'd barely been in 2 years, and I didn't know what to do. He's like, "Pin me." I'm like
mid match, he tells you this?
No, yeah, we were going home. I was expecting to take the pinfall, and my night's done. He changed last minute, changed his mind. I don't want to do this. So whatever, pin him. And I don't know what's going on after this. So out comes Shawn. The only thing that Shawn and I did was shake hands and introduce each other. That was it. So we lock up, and Shawn calls this extremely quick and sudden finish, but we still work the match. And we have a very good match. We didn't know each other. I didn't know his last name was Shultz. I knew nothing about the guy. And we had a really good match. It was incredible. And he put me over on that one. And then the next guy came out. I told him, I was like, "Duck my line, roll me up. I got to get out of here." So
I'm not supposed
So
to be here in the first place.
yeah, it's like Dante from Clerks. I'm not supposed to be here today. So so I go to the locker room. John and I talk. He was super grateful for me for that spot, and he was like so generous. And um, we've been friends ever since then, and that was since 2006. Shawn, now with Shawn's history, he's done a lot in Tennessee, like a whole lot in Tennessee, a lot with NWA
Mhm.
back when it was like kind of struggling a little bit.
Yeah, when it was like
But
NWA East and West and this and that. Yeah.
yeah, kind of, sort of, yeah. But he did a lot of good with him as well. And then he had spots at Ring of Honor. He did a good bit with Impact, TNA Impact Wrestling. Did a good bit of like dark matches. There we go. I was like pre-show. No, that's not the word I'm looking for. Dark match.
Yeah.
And then he played a doctor on WWE. I have to send you a link to that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember
definitely need to
watching
see
a lot.
this. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a clip where Enzo Amore had hurt his ankle. Shawn had said something like torn ligaments will be out for a while, and then he just kind of scoots off, and it threw me off. I'm like, oh my gosh, Shawn's a doctor on TV. That's the best, because we kind of joked about stuff with each other about you play a doctor on TV, and then he actually plays a doctor on TV all these years later.
Right.
But yeah, Shawn has always been one to help the younger talent. Like as much stuff that he's done for himself in the business, he's done way more helping guys that are just getting their feet wet, especially guys that look like $1 million that are tailor made for television. Shawn was always that guy that 9 times out of 10 you're going to go to him because he knows, like, even though you probably haven't seen him on television before, a lot of these people that you probably see on Impact or even WWE and NWA now, Billy Corgan's Billy Corgan's NWA. There's a lot of letters, dude.
Yeah, there is.
Like Shawn's got a lot of his fingerprints on those guys, and I always thought that Shawn needed to be recognized in this tournament. Is kind of not really in remembrance of him, but him. So that's why this tournament is there. It's to let people know, hey, this is what Shawn's done. This is what his passion's for, and that's my way of saying thank you for helping me in my career. If there wasn't a Shawn Shultz,
Right.
I'd like to say that there probably wouldn't be a Tyler Sutton. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. Do you, as a promoter, is there somebody you're really keeping your eye on in this tournament? Is there a couple that, you want to say, man, you make sure you're out to see this? If you don't have a ticket, get it now. All of that.
yeah, so there's a guy named Jack Bruce Davison. He's from Orange, California. He reached out to me wanting the opportunity, and when we were in discussion on like pay and stuff like that, I don't want to go into depths with it.
Oh yeah, no.
I told him, I was like, this is what I have to offer. He was like, cool, I'll be there. And I paused for a minute, and I was like, there's got to be a catch. I'm just waiting on it. And then he messaged me back, said, just let me know what you need from me, and then we'll go from there. So I let a few days pass, and Jack and I, we actually talked quite a good bit, and he's just keeping me updated on stuff. And Jack is a guy that no matter, like, you could probably tell him he needs you in Antarctica on a Tuesday at 4:30 a.m. He would show up just to get his name out there. I adore that kind of thing. Like, I absolutely do. Then another young man, Cowboy Coots, he's a hometown guy. He actually does some stuff for TWE as well. He wrestles on their developmental show called Crash Course, which, by the way, you can see every other Monday on IWTV. Or if you're local, you could be at Red Bank, Tennessee. Plug.
Right.
He is over like Grover, man. People in town absolutely love this guy. He's He's a hillbilly. That's the best way I could put it. But man, fans love him so
PC,
much.
that's for the best way of putting it. PC wise, yeah, that's probably the best way. I've done some research, and man, I love his work. I do.
Yes. And then there's one guy. Um, he is arrogant as all get out, and for some reason I love it. I hate it, but I love it at the same time. It's one of those things that as a promoter, you got to look at it as a business investment. Um, Gaston Leroux, he's from Shreveport, Louisiana, by way of Paris,
Yeah.
and holy smokes, he is talented. I will give Gaston a lot of credit. He is super talented, but boy, he's got a mouth on him.
Yeah.
Super arrogant, but that does sell tickets. I mean, we'll see how he does in the tournament. I'm actually pretty curious to see how he's going to do myself. But I mean, this class is filled. I mean, I do have a vacated spot because I had one person pull out. So Shawn and I are doing a seminar, and we're going to find that person to fill that vacated spot. Money that we raise for the seminar, Shawn and I will not see whatsoever. That's going to go towards the Special Olympics, and that's something Shawn and I really wanted to do. So it really wanted to help with the talent coming out and the guys that wanted to learn some more, or even maybe get a foot in the door to pro wrestling clash. We do something like that, but Shawn was like, I don't want to see any of this money, and I'm kind of right there with him. So we figured, let's give it all to Special Olympics, whatever we raise. So that is our goal for that.
I love all of that with Pro Wrestling Clash because you've had your first couple shows, you've donated to this, now you're donating to this. It just, it means so much, and I'm going to say it like this, to be working with an organization, have it be this time or many more in the future, I hope, Tyler, that it's going to benefit somebody. One, it's benefiting the wrestlers and the talent and all that, yes, but I love that there's more to wrestling for you, that you're taking care of so many more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it means a lot. It means a lot to, not just to me, but to Shawn and the guys in the tournament as well. Like, we're doing more than one good out of this, and that's kind of how I view running professional wrestling. Like, do more than one good thing.
Right. So if we're not in Red Bank, and how can people watch this? It might be on tape delay or whatever, but is there a way that others can, scope this out in the future or anything?
Okay, so the plan, one of two things. The plan is we will either record the show, get it put on IWTV, or we'll record the show, or we'll put it on Facebook. Much rather do IWTV because there is a good audience there. We're working on that right now. We were going to live stream it. Some things had fell through, but not all is well. Still, we'll still make this salvageable to where everybody outside of Red Bank can watch this. That's our goal, is like get as much eyes on this product as possible.
Right.
So I'll let everybody know on Pro Wrestling Clash Facebook, please follow, to just to see an update on how everybody outside of Red Bank can see this.
Anything else you want to bring to the podcast right now more about Pro Wrestling Clash, more about the tourney, more about you, anything? This is open forum for you now.
No, I just want to thank you, Mark, for just talking to me today, and just letting your audience see who I'm about. More importantly, what Shawn, Shultz, and Pro Wrestling Clash is all about. Yeah, I'm just the guy that helps lead charge to the show, and I'm the promoter of Pro Wrestling Clash. Yeah, but to me, like, the spotlight really should be on all my talent, and I just want to keep it there. For those who plan on watching, you're not going to be disappointed with the show. Just keep an eye on these talents. You never know who you're going to see in the future. That's like I said, independent wrestling is like a bag of Skittles. You may see somebody in the tournament. It's like you'll probably never see it again. Then you may see somebody in that tournament within a year or two later. You're seeing them on NXT television, or you're seeing them on AEW, or you might see them in NWA Power. I mean, you just never know. That's the beauty of professional wrestling. Like, you just never know.
Agreed. And I'm going to tell you right now, Tyler, I'm going to be reaching out to pretty much everybody in this tournament. So I want them to have a spotlight on Can Crushers, tell their story, why they got into the business, talk about the tourney, how they felt it was, and all of that. So you're going to see a lot of Pro Wrestling Clash here in the near future on Can Crushers, of having, talent swap in and out, talking about, what it means and how they got into the business and everything, because I love the wrestling story from wrestlers. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of wrestlers with a lot of wrestling stories. I will tell you this. If you want to know a professional wrestling or an independent wrestling story, you will never run out of them. There's plenty of them.
Never. There's some wrestlers that I talked to, Tyler, that didn't watch it as kids. They went with a boyfriend or girlfriend to a show just to appease that spouse, and then the next day and or at the show, they were signing up to be a professional wrestler.
That happens. I mean,
yeah, isn't that cool?
Sometimes it takes sometimes it just takes one show. Sometimes it just takes one match, and it's just like you're there. And I'll circle back to the WWF Superstar show that I watched. Yes, I remember Ted DiBiase versus Jim Powers to open the show for Superstars, but it was Bret Hart that I was like, I want to be like that when I grow up. And some odd years later, now this close to 40-year-old guy has fulfilled his dream and now has turned into the next chapter of his career into promoters. And then I could see the same guys make those same goals for themselves.
Yeah, agreed. Tyler, this has been a blast, man. I can't wait to re-talk to you again. I can't wait to, at some point, make the voyage down to one of your shows. And I'm a hugger, by the way. Give you a big old hug and say, hey, man, let's just watch wrestling together.
Hey, bring a carload with you. Tickets on me.
Deal.
Hey, this is Shawn Reed, and you're listening to Can Crushers. This guy's awesome, but sometimes, he likes to talk about other things that are about Joe Jonas, and really wants to be about the Jonas Brothers. So enjoy his fandom about wrestling and secretly duetting with Joe Jonas.
So I still have not gotten to duet with Joe Jonas, but is it on the bucket list? Maybe pretty far down there. But, Shauna Reed always throwing me under the bus. Thank you very much, Shauna Reed. Guys, what an amazing interview with Tyler TY Sutton. First and foremost, let me tell you, throw the wrestling apart, throw everything else apart. A wonderful human being. We chatted a little bit after the show. We just chatted as bros, and it's awesome. I like the work that they do for everybody. I said that during the podcast, and I'll say it again because I want to hammer that home. It's not just about for the wrestlers or for themselves or anything like that. I love how they always give back, and that's something that we truly support on Can Crushers. Listen, it's the little guys that do a lot of the work and mean the most for me. So shout out to everybody at Pro Wrestling Clash, including Shawn and Tyler. You guys are wonderful for all that. I'm so happy to be, involved with you guys. But how about some of the stories, man? We need to have Tyler on to open up about more of the stories. I think there's a few in there that we can really pull out, and maybe he can get in some trouble. I don't know. I'd like to have Shawn on as well. But this was great. This was amazing. As I said, in the next couple days, you're going to have some competitors coming on from the Futures Tournament to talk about their career and then what the tournament means to them. So stick and stay here this week on Can Crushers. You will not be disappointed. I'm not going to leak anybody, so you're just going to have to hold out to find out when your episode is on or who else is coming on, because a couple of opponents already know who, but when am I going to drop them? Guys, remember, just because you're trash doesn't mean you can't do great things. It's called a garbage can, not a garbage cannot. Make sure you tell your loved ones you love them, because you never know.